What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today I'm doing something a little different because, it's almost inevitable that any retro gaming channel you go on, they have at least made that one video of why they collect, and they explain, childhood memories. They talk about wanting to have games they never got to play, wanting to have like the old hardware, and just the nostalgia and the fact they love the Super Nintendo, they love the NES. Well, today I'm doing something a little different. Today I'm actually going to be talking about why I don't collect. Now, the thing is, I'm going to be talking about things I won't miss about collecting. And by no means this is a knock towards collectors. I have no problem if someone wants to go out there and game chase, if someone wants to go out there and fill a shelf full of games. That's your prerogative. That's awesome. That to me, that was the coolest thing about collecting in that aspect. There was no wrong way of doing it. It's all about your personal preference, and my personal preference has changed. It's been changing for the past year. This is something I was debating on, and I've had some life changes that kind of pushed me towards that idea that was, going like a hamster on the wheel in my head. I finally bit the bullet and started doing it. And if you guys have been watching my videos, watch a video like a month ago and look at it now. I'm slowly but surely getting rid of everything. I'm not going to be getting rid of all games. There are some things, I guess, quote unquote retro, I'm still going to collect for, and that's like the PS2, the original Xbox, the Sega Dreamcast, and of course the Sega Saturn. And I'm actually going to be making another video about the Sega Saturn very shortly, because that is one console, in my opinion, that's very special because it's not easily emulated, and it just has this little secret aura to it. I really love the Sega Saturn, so I'm going to be making a video talking all about that. But yeah, what am I not going to miss about collecting? One of the things that I won't miss is actually the inconvenience. There are some inconveniences to collecting. One of the things, I'm not just talking about the market, I'll get into that, but one of the things that bothered me about collecting was I felt like my collection was becoming more like a store. Now, you guys gotta understand, I've worked like 14 years in customer service and retail, and it was getting to the point where I had to make certain days to dust my room, to, rearrange shelves, and, because I got some games, I gotta go and clean them and put them on the shelf. And for some people it's therapeutic, they like it. Me personally, I don't like it, but I don't have to bother with that anymore. If I want to play a game, I don't have to worry about unplugging one cord to plug another cord. And that's another thing, no more cable management. If you're going behind that TV, and sometimes it's a freaking dungeon back there, it's just all this big tumbleweed of cords you have to go through just to pull out the little Sega Master System to plug it in. I don't have to deal with that anymore, and I like the fact that now I have a Raspberry Pi, I have a Ouya, and I have a modded Wii U, and I just take all that stuff and I can play anything I want. I can play it. That's awesome. Other than the stuff that I'm still collecting for. But I mean, I digress. That's something I'm not going to miss. Now, some people will go on and say that the retro market is dying. Some people will go on and say the retro market's fine. And I think it really depends on where you're at. Some people have better luck in some cities compared to others. There was a time probably about a year and a half ago that everything just dried up like a raisin. And the reason why, I'm not going to name the store because I'm good friends with the guys and no ill will towards them, because it was a very nice, successful newspaper ad. But there was a newspaper article, and they were talking about, being in business for 27 years. I mean, they've been in business for a long time, and they talked about retro gaming. And I don't think it was them that did this. I think it was more of the people that did research that interviewed them and decided to add this little tidbit in there. But they were like, oh, if you have any NES or Super NES games laying around, they might be worth more than you think they are. And I'm like reading it, I'm like, oh no. And they're listing Little Samson, Panic Restaurant, a Chubby Cherub. They're naming all these heavy hitters and listing eBay prices of what they're selling on. And I'm just like, there went the market in my town. There it went. And the reason why I say that is because people who are not educated with retro collecting see these titles and they're like, I've never heard of these games. If these games are worth that much, I know the junk in my attic that's a bunch of NES games that are all crusty and they're all common, you know, track and field Super Mario Brothers Duck Hunt. They got to be worth more than that. I mean, especially Super Mario Brothers Duck Hunt, because, you know, that's the first Super Mario Brothers game that ever came out. So that's got to be at least worth, I don't know, $4,000. You know, so I mean, I see that, I'm just like, God, that pissed me off so much. I hated that they did that. So after that, I could no longer find games in thrift stores. And when I did, they were a lot higher. And it was because people who are not really into retro are learning about retro, and they're learning about all the wrong ways, and it's just making the market big. That's just what it is. So I mean, I'm glad I don't have to deal with that anymore. The only thing I will miss about collecting is the game chasing, and it was more of the chasing aspect than it was getting the games. I just like going out there with my friends and going to the flea market and finding things, and I've noticed, it never happened to me, but I noticed that some people get kind of infatuated with the chase. It's almost like an adrenaline rush, and they get more into that than actually playing the games that they bought, so they end up, you know, going out more. Because, you know, maybe the games are, you know, shrinking up, so they start going after Happy Meal toys and stuffed animals and vinyl and kids' storybooks, Teddy Ruxpin, you know, they start going after that stuff, VHS tapes and Laserdisc, and before you know it, they're a hoarder, you know, and that's something that unfortunately is a sad reality. And there comes a point where you have to ask yourself, do I really need all this stuff? Why do I have, you know, a whole box of vintage Cracker Jack boxes from like the 60s? Why do I have this? You know, it's a piece of history. I don't know. But I don't have to deal with that anymore, and I just had that convenience of just playing video games, and that's what I've always been into. I know some people were very apprehensive when they heard that I was dropping out of collecting. They're, oh God, don't do it, it's your passion. No, my passion has always been, and if you guys have been watching my channel since day one, my passion has always been video games, playing video games, talking to you guys about video games, sharing some of my memories of video games, why I love video games. That's always been what this channel has been about. That's what always made me want to do an audio podcast with XS Gaming. So yeah. Anyway guys, leave a comment below. Tell me if you guys are still collecting. If you're not collecting, why are you not doing any anymore? Is it some of the same reasons that I listed above in this very lengthy video? I love to hear from you. As always, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and as always, happy gaming.
Can't get enough of XS Gaming Podcast? Be sure to check out our audio podcast on podomag.com. You can also subscribe to us on iTunes. And if you have a YouTube channel or podcast you'd like to share, be sure to check us out on Facebook on our group page and join the community. As always, guys, thank you so much for all the support, and happy gaming.